A few years ago, I released a video series called The New World Order, Modern Conspiracy or Ancient Plan. In that series, I outlined a hypothesis that a secret cabal of powerful men have been keeping a treasure trove of genetic materials secreted in various hiding places around the globe in a millennia-old plan to one day expose their secret cache and unify the world's religions and form a one-world government. I suggested that in order to communicate across the various cells and track the cache in the event of global catastrophe, they would use architectural markers arranged in an easily identifiable geometric pattern. I suggested that tall towers with observation platforms would be the modern global equivalent of helmeted cupolas and minarets, which would have been the previous standard, having themselves supplanted pyramids and ziggurats. I suggested that a mandala, designed by a supposed leader of one of those secret organizations which employed basic and well-established natural ratios, would be the ideal key to place those landmarks when overlaid on a map. I noted that periods of civil unrest in the regions where the cache had been secreted would compel its ultimate movement to a new and more secure location, which would then compel the building of a newer and more prominent landmark. My conclusion was that the cache had been stolen from the pyramids by Hebrew raiders and secreted first in Solomon's temple before being discovered by Christian raiders during the Crusades. It was then moved to the New World and eventually hidden in what is now North Platte, Nebraska. Then, after the American Civil War, it was moved again to an island off the coast of Papua New Guinea known as New Ireland. I further suggested that some of the necessary materials might still be in the region of the Tiber and Euphrates, where the scheme was originally set, and that the Iraq invasion was actually done simply as a means of regaining control over those materials. However, after releasing the first video, I received some new information that has led me to slightly modify and improve upon my original conclusion. First, I wish to revisit one of the sequences in my preceding video, and then include some of the new information which has since come to light. Once we rotate the mandala to compensate for the fact that we are in the southern hemisphere, we can determine the spot we are looking for as it relates to the scalene triangle. When we then transpose this to the map and compensate for the spherical nature of the planet and the fact that we are dealing with the more watery portion of our Earth, we can determine that the closest land to our reference point is in Papua New Guinea, specifically on an island once called New Ireland. Okay, let's take a look at the southern hemisphere map with the entire mandala overlaid. If you'll notice, neither Auckland nor Sydney is on an intersection, but there is an intersection nearby. So the question becomes, what, if anything, is in that intersection? Well, as it happens, there is something there. Sort of. That section of open ocean in the Coral Sea between New Caledonia and Australia is a location traditionally given for Sandy Island, a 60-square-mile landmass with coordinates have appeared on maps and charts for over a century and a half. A landmass which, as it happens, does not actually exist. In fact, there never was an island there. The water is 1,300 feet deep at the shallowest point for those coordinates. So what we have is a fictional island placed at coordinates which happen to align perfectly with coordinates representing a juncture on the mandala as defined by 5 of the largest towers mankind has ever built. But here's the more interesting part. Turns out in recent years, a few more minaret-like towers went up in the Middle East. The first was the Liberation Tower, which went up in Kuwait in 1993, just after the Kuwait and Iraq War. This was followed in 1996 by the Baku TV Tower in Azerbaijan. Then there was an 11-year break in tower building. 2 points are not enough to determine a location. We need at least a third point to triangulate and find matching points on the mandala. Fortunately for our purposes, tower building began again after the invasion of Iraq in 2007, when the Malad Tower was built in Tehran. And in 2009 in Dubai, work was completed on the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. The Burj Khalifa is not, however, a minaret-style tower, so we have to assume that it was built to point to another tower. But where? When we apply these points on the mandala, there's only one region where all the points fit, and it is very near the center point of the mandala. Then if we look at the nearby intersection on the right, we see a city right in the intersection near Dubai, the Principality of Muscat in Oman. Now, this region has no tall buildings, but as of the making of this video, the tallest building to be in that principality is under construction at the airport, the Air Traffic Control Tower, which will be completed in 2014. Incidentally, there are other places on the mandala where these points almost align, but they aren't a perfect match. The triangle this now forms is a perfect fit in only one spot on the mandala, and the hypotenuse of that triangle with the center point passes directly through the city of Yazd in Iran, home of the tallest minarets in all of Persia. Unlike most of the Islamic State of Iran, Yazd stands apart. It is the ancient Persian capital of the Zoroastrian religion, the world's first and oldest monotheistic religion. An oasis in the middle of a vast desert, Yazd offered safe haven to Persian artists fleeing the Mongols. If the cache has been secreted there, it has come full circle. For the first time since the foundation of Egypt, all of the materials are once again back in the cradle of civilization, in what's almost certainly the oldest continuously inhabited province in the world. Can the reawakening and the NWO be close at hand? Or is it all just a series of coincidences?